In today's video, we're going to talk about why marriage in today's time is mostly for clowns and the middle class, and pay very much attention to the word I just added, mostly. If you watch my X account eventually, the original title for this video would have been Marriage in Today's Time for Clowns and the Middle Class. And by having spent quite some time on that topic, while having a bath, I realized there are actually people on this planet who not just only from a day-to-day basis, but also all life long display characteristica, ideas and ideologies, greatly respecting by doing so. Putting on a conscious act all life long to better yourself, to always believe in yourself and achieve the better version you are dreaming all about. You are respecting your significant other, your spouse, the one you want to spend all life long together, the one you want to keep, protect, and provide for all life long, right? Unfortunately, though, most people live an unconscious life. Therefore, it's not a surprise that marriage, also in today's time, absolutely doesn't work, is absolutely far from the truth, the concept of marriage, what it symbolizes. Most people actually spit on that idea. And by me adding that one single word, mostly, greatly showing that the idea, the original idea of the video, got transformed into a complete different direction. So for you, it's a symbol basically by you believing in yourself, by you trusting in yourself, you fighting for what you want to achieve in life, you fighting for your own stance, you eventually making that jump into the unknown, making it possible for you to achieve a life that greatly benefits you to the better. You making that jump, you abandoning certain people, you jumping into that void because you're actually standing on a threshold. The old world and the new world. That's why it's so scary for most people doing what they actually want to do. Their heart is screaming them to do certain things, but they are afraid to do so. There's too much information for the brain to basically focus on. Sometimes the best idea is to simply follow your heart. So marriage originally had nothing to do with love. It was all about survival and combining resources. Back in time, most women absolutely didn't have the possibilities and opportunities that they, for example, are able to have today. Back in time, a man of status, a man of power, highlighted to the external world, they are able to basically keep a woman. They are able to provide and protect for a woman. After all, it's the woman, it's the female, who has to take on the burden of a child for the next 9 months. She is in a vulnerable state, not just emotionally, financially, but also physically. She needs to rely on someone that can feed her and provide for her for that time frame. So it necessarily isn't all about love. They were maybe eventually just looking if someone was to some degree good looking, and the rest didn't matter. At a certain age, potential values the guy might have portrayed, how he was thinking, how he was moving through life. If the resources weren't met, weren't displayed, and the woman wasn't able to perceive or assume that there is financial gain, there's financial security, stability, these women at one point simply abandoned the guys that they loved and went to the ones who were able to provide the financial aspect, in the end most likely regretting their decisions for life. After all, it is someone that the woman absolutely is not interested in the emotional aspect. It was all about survival and being able once again to provide for their future children. They were living in these unhappy marriages all life long, especially in the past, where there was so much pressure on the woman from both family sides. You have now to fulfill a role. You can't just basically leave that marriage and do whatever you want to do. And with men having that kind of power in the past, they necessarily didn't have to be all life long present for the woman, all life long bettering themselves, all life long highlighting and honoring their woman. Do not get me wrong, they of course were great men throughout all time of history, fully loving, fully displaying everything that a woman needs, also the financial aspect, and honoring her, and him. Back in time though, just 100 years ago for example, it was simply enough that you were a man of power, a man of some kind of money. That was basically it. In today's time, if you are a man of power, if you're a man of money, if you're a man of status, regardless if these guys in fact are actually douchebags, jerks, bling bling morons, pretenders, this is a time of social media after all. There's a lot of pretenders out there who absolutely do not have the characteristica. They absolutely do not meet the minimal standards of what it actually means to be a man. But they just portray the physical needs to the outside world. That is all. Because that is all what they can provide. Higher knowledge, honor, respect. They don't know what it actually means. Spirituality, as I've mentioned quite a few times. These men, on large, laugh about that. So it's not a surprise that so many men actually cannot guide, yet alone sexually satisfy a woman all life long. And also vice versa. If a woman isn't spiritual at all, doesn't understand these concepts, she only brings drama, nonsense and bullshittery into a relationship, eventually also into the marriage, wrecking all the experiences and potential hopes for the future. Marriage for the middle class, it's all about a convenient lifestyle. It's all about the norm, about average. And I've quite a few times explained what it is, what average people are. Average people have an average lifestyle and average experiences. They have average friends. They have an average income. They have average possibilities and opportunities. They have average sex. They have average ideologies. It's not bad, but it's also not spectacular. And unfortunately, over time, average people, the majority of them, become bitter with their own decisions, especially with falling in line, and later on, once again, start to hate on everyone who moved differently through life, who thinks differently, and at one point becomes successful. They didn't have the strength to follow their own heart. They didn't believe in themselves. They wanted to make, any family members happy. Even though these family members absolutely displayed throughout so many years that they do not have the best of interest in them, for them, zero, nothing. For such people, falling in line means you avoid confrontation. By avoiding confrontation, that one single point in time where two ideologies, for example, collide, that is where you have to fight for your stance. That is what, for example, your heart is screaming to do. This goes for everything in life. How can you have a successful marriage with your significant other that you promise to respect, protect, and honor all life long? How can you live such a wonderful marriage if you yourself allow outside forces, their opinions, inputs, and whatnot to influence what you two actually have going for yourself? If you do not highlight the conscious will to all life long better yourself, to all life long seek growth, so actually positive stress, which is going to challenge you for the better, you cannot do that, not just for yourself, but that also means you can't be there for the other one or for your significant other. After all, marriage is something very sacred. It's about union. It's about coming together, becoming one, creating a family at one point in time. How can you allow outside forces to influence not just you, how you think, how you act, how you move through life, but then also your significant other through you, for example? After all, it's about you two. You make that family. You display the characteristica of a king, of a queen. You two dictate the tone. Everyone else who is not able to adapt to that standard that you display. Basically, the message is get lost. It is about you two. How you live your life, where you're gonna live, how you're gonna raise your children, what kind of information you provide for those children. You hopefully are someone of great knowledge, of wisdom, not just in the physical sense, but also the spiritual aspect. You have a lot of information that you can share. You have a lot of solutions to a lot of problems that most people absolutely cannot grasp. You are a rock, for example, if you are a man. You fully can guide and provide, one more time, those solutions that most people absolutely are not able to show and highlight because they don't know it better. Why? Because they are not interested in bettering themselves all life long. It's a convenient lifestyle, after all, for the middle class. The middle class, even though being the backbone of society, is not interested in living a conscious lifestyle. Because a conscious lifestyle simply means all life long you do things consciously. You have to think about certain things from a day-to-day basis. You have to all life long highlight a sexy, handsome body to your significant other. I think it's all about honoring not just yourself, but your significant other, right? Your spouse. Do average people greatly highlight their significant other all life long? Or is it more, once again, an unconscious lifestyle which sooner or later makes them become lazy, weak, fat, stupid, and undisciplined? After all, marriage for many people is signing contracts, having that party, everyone can see what they are doing, they're inviting family, they're inviting friends, look, this amazing business actually, right? The contracts are signed, the government is basically spectating you two, is overlooking you two. Now, most people think they do not have to work that much anymore. They do not have to work out anymore. They do not have to portray certain characteristica because most people actually wear a mask. They don't have to do that anymore because they've secured someone. Sooner or later, it's going to be that convenient lifestyle. You do not have to work out anymore that much. You do not have to better yourself anymore. You do not have to listen to the other one as much anymore. It doesn't matter if there's arguing going on over time. Contracts were signed. Lots of people have been watching you two. There's immense pressure, immense expectations. And average people falling in line, average people not seeking truth, average people absolutely not being interested, one more time, in becoming their best version, becoming a best version of yourself, not just for yourself, but also in that sacred union, means you have to be awake. You have to put in effort. And why do many people do not want to put in the effort? Looking inside, because it's painful. It's painful to accept that you fell in line. It's painful to accept that you actually do what society is doing. Even though your heart, for example, tells you not to do certain things. It tells you to do XYZ because that is your hobby. That is where your love is fully inside. You want to make that hobby to money. You want to honor your significant other by providing extraordinary knowledge, extraordinary possibilities. Also in the physical. So the money aspect is important. But also the spiritual aspect is important because by being spiritual, you have higher understanding of everything. Most people do not have that higher understanding. They're average. Average people are average for a reason. Successful people are successful for a reason. They at one point leave the norm, average, behind. They put on a conscious act, one more time, to all life long strengthen their body, all life long strengthen their mind, all life long strengthen their energy, their spiritual knowledge, after all. Therefore, being greatly able to completely navigate through this realm effortlessly, elegantly, and avoiding disastrous outcomes because they very well know they wouldn't benefit from the experience regardless the polarity. People who are not spiritual, they need to rely on life experience. Life experience means you have to navigate through life through trial and error, and eventually, and only eventually, you find yourself throughout time. After all, there are also fools around who are in their 90s, not having seen through a single illusion in life. So just because someone is old doesn't mean that they are wise, okay? That's very far from the truth. Just because someone is old doesn't mean that you can rely on their input. After all, you need to look what they have done on a day-to-day basis that greatly highlighted to their family members, friends, and eventually society that they were living a harmonious lifestyle. Harmony on the inside manifests to the outside. People who are happy with themselves, people who are successful, all the time focus on their own life, all the time want to better themselves, all the time actually also want to help other people become their best version as well. Losers are not interested in that. Losers want to have that convenient lifestyle. One more time. Sooner or later, actually very quickly, it becomes boring. There will be lots of excuses why certain things cannot be done anymore. You have to sacrifice in order to make the other one happy. You have to compromise hardcore to avoid that confrontation, that argument. Because people like that, average people, once again, lack any knowledge about spirituality. They are basically kept at a certain level of frequency and cannot go higher. People who all life long, one more time, better themselves in the physical, so their body, and spiritual, their mind and heart, rise in frequency and therefore attract everything in their life effortlessly. It all the time simply follows them. They are basically haunted by luck, yeah? They dictate the game. They provide solutions to problems that their significant other has. They provide a wonderful, harmonious lifestyle, full of richness, full of joy, yes, full of money as well. But that is a key point that most people hate on them. They can't understand, for example, spirituality, and by not knowing what it is, by not feeling it, it's an experience. Religion, for example, what marriage is all about, religion is being taught from one to the other. Religion in the original state actually was all about spirituality, bringing people closer to God. How can you come closer to God? By feeling God, by experiencing God, by bettering yourself, for yourself and your significant other and their surroundings. And not by reading a book, studying it for 2-3 decades, being lectured by morons who absolutely greatly highlight that their life is a shit show as well. Their sex life is boring. Their marriage is boring. Everything is falling apart. They stick their noses into subjects it doesn't belong. They want to give input no one asked for. They are miserable on the inside. Therefore, spit that garbage energy to the outside. Just because someone has spent a lot of time with those books, the Bible, the Quran, it absolutely doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. If someone has high expectations of you, look at their physical body and look how they respond to external stimuli. Do they greatly highlight a fit body or not? Are they able to effectively answer your questions? And especially how many questions you answer. Are they annoyed by those questions or not? After all, you can ask winners 1,000 questions and they will never be annoyed. They will gladly help you. The only thing you might eventually hear is that they eventually have to, sleep. But they can answer those questions the next day. Loser people, especially who hide behind religion, They don't want something like that. They will feel greatly the pressure once you start to dig and dig and dig with those questions. After all, they have to become conscious in order to reply to them. Being conscious, once again, hurts. Such adults have wasted quite a lot of time in their life. Such adults, their sex life in their marriage quickly dried out. And if you watch my videos, we are talking here about exceptional people. We are not talking about the norm. After all, if you are watching me, you're not normal. You're abnormal, just like myself. And that's a wonderful thing, because we greatly highlight to these clowns we are successful. They greatly see how we move differently than them, how we talk differently than them, how we operate differently throughout our entire lives. It's not just a section of time, a few years, and then we all also become unconscious. No, it's all lifelong. All life long, the finances are wonderful. All life long, the sex is wonderful. All life long, you focus on bettering yourself. You try to improve your thought patterns, your daily habits. You question them. You sit still. You meditate. You do yoga, tai chi, qigong. You do breath exercise. Have you seen anyone in your family highlighting such moves or not? Are your parents fit currently or not? Are they able to answer your questions effectively in a way that most people can't or not? If someone is fat, if someone is disgusting looking, if someone is disgusting with their personality, if someone is simply not wanting to help you, but has high expectations of you, what you should be doing, with whom you should be with, whom you should marry, at what age you should have children, what you should have already accomplished, where you should have been, in that kind of house you should be already living. You should have a house on debt, just like the rest. But they themselves are miserable in life. They themselves absolutely not displaying characteristic of winners. Don't take anyone like that seriously. Actually realize why marriage in today's time is basically being spit on greatly. It is nothing to do with about getting together and forming a sacred union for life. In today's time, if you are together with someone for 10 plus years, that is legendary. Today it's actually all swipe right and get better. A few problems here and there, no, we probably should end the relationship. It's all a joke. And it's a joke because people are a joke. How they think of themselves and how they act all life long. They do not value themselves. They think of themselves as little them. They can't do shit. They can't change anything on the planet. So why even try? Do you really believe a winner, someone who puts a conscious act, regardless if it's a man or a woman, thinks like that and acts like that? No. People like that move differently for a reason, think differently for a reason, and therefore have different results for a reason. Conscious people have a wonderful marriage. Conscious people move, one more time, differently than the rest. The rest falls in line. The rest doesn't want to make waves. They don't want to have attention on them. They want to fall in line because it's convenient. It's easy. You make mommy and daddy proud. You make uncle and auntie proud. You make the grandma and grandfather proud by doing what they expect you to do. Why they themselves have a miserable life. They have a miserable marriage. They have a miserable sex life. The sex probably dried out 17 years ago already. But they expect everything from you. Because in a way, through you, they might live a second life. They might aura form through you and your spouse. And then basically keeping that image intact that everything all life long was all right. When in fact it was far from the truth. You should absolutely not marry, not even think about that, within a time frame of 10 years. You do not know with whom you're spending time with in that time frame. There were probably no major problems to solve. Nothing. It's still basically going well. The first 1, 2, 3, 4 years. What kind of time frame is that? It's nothing. You are actually wanting a sacred union for life. So how can you determine that in a time frame from 1 to 4 years, eventually 5? That is the time frame where most people on this planet are able to wear that mask, that everything is all right with them, that they are actually the best choice for you. And then it starts to crack. The mask starts to crack. People want to have children already in that time frame. How you want to get out of that? When you realize 3 years later with whom you're actually dealing with, man or woman. You should not marry someone because you need that money, because you need that lifestyle. The people of the past, in the very beginning of the video, they had to do stuff like that in order to survive, mostly the woman. You today, for example, as a woman, you do not have to do that mistake. You do not have to make that conscious decision that you will most likely regret for your life. You as a man, you do not have to do the same. After all, you are the one who gets wrecked hardcore if you choose the wrong woman. You shouldn't think about the idea one more time about marriage in a time frame within 10 years. There was no major problems to solve. People like that are still wearing their mask. Whom should you marry? Anyone that you had to solve with major problems, major confrontations, and you still came together. Anyone beyond the 10-year frame, anyone who basically highlighted to you that they love you, that they unconditionally love you for who you are, not expecting anything from you in return. It's just you. They just love you for who you are, be it man or woman, and not expecting anything in return. Once again, it's unconditional love, a key component when it comes to marriage. Being spiritual greatly helps actually when it comes to marriage. Being spiritual helps in life tremendously. You basically broke through a threshold that most people never will. They are kept, let's just make it easy, on a frequency level 2. That is where you have to sacrifice hardcore. That is where you have to compromise hardcore. That is where you do not have to better yourself. You do basically have to do nothing. You're just already having signed those papers. Everything is nice. Everyone in the family, secret hidden enemies, bastards and whatnot, celebrated this bullshit. Lots of money was wasted. That you too actually could have secured for yourself and made a world trip. Not just for 6 weeks, half a year plus. There's people who waste tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, just so that, for example, the families, the two families, and the friends and the morons and idiots come together and feast on everything, what is presented, and secretly hating on you too. Despising you, already negative energy in that sacred union, that time where you two bond together, basically, in public. And experience all kind of different countries, different people, different locations, making different memories, exceptional memories, in exceptional hotels. What kind of things you can do there. Then wasting all that potential on idiots that you most likely will not see in years anyway again, or if at all. In my opinion, marriage is something very, very unique, something sacred, something holy. It's two people coming together, yeah? One more time. It's two people hopefully having the standards of a king and a queen. So you both are your own masters, you are your own leaders. You dictate the tone. You do not allow any input or opinions influence how you're going to live your life. You're not listening to losers and plebs in your family and your surroundings, because it's you two who dictate the tone. One more time, it's very crucial for people to understand. You two are about to have a family. You two are about to dictate how your children are going to be raised, the information they will be given. Hopefully you provide all information, yeah? And not just teach them a certain religion and that's basically it. You give them all information about all the religions on the planet. You give them all the information that you know. And while the child is still, or children, they are still small, you are one more time bettering yourself all life long, not just for yourself, not just now for your significant other, but to these children. You want to be a role model all life long. You want to be someone they look up to. You want to be someone that they admire. They want to be like you. People like that, parents like that, I can guarantee you, their children are not going to rebel in their teenager times. They're not gonna drink like the losers. They're not gonna do extraordinary bullshit like the rest. They have complete, true, honest role models in front of them who move differently, think differently, and act differently than the majority of people on this planet. You two completely move differently. You two are king and queen and not plebs. Huh? You dictate the tone. You decide everything and not the rest. You do not care what your parents are thinking. You do not care what your uncles and aunts are thinking. They should live their own life. They should focus on their own life. They should look inside, but that's painful. They should fix their own sex life. They should fix their own daily habits, their thought patterns. That's painful. One more time, painful. It's easier to look at other people's lives and then give stupid input. Stupid opinions. Stupid. And occupying their time 24/7 and then gossiping about other people's lives. Why they are successful, why they have that successful marriage. 15 years later, still together. 15 years later, still an amazing sex life. 15 years later, harmony, joy, bliss. They're still loving each other since day one. Do you think most people on this planet have that? Do you think most average people experience that? One more time. They are average for a reason. Average means convenience. You do not have to put in effort. You do not have to be conscious. Being conscious and putting on effort means pain. Means you have to do something in order to get something. Huh? How many parents, 20 years later after the marriage, still are being able to highlight a sexy, handsome body to their significant other? Most of them are physically breaking down. Most of them are mind-wise starting to break down. Most of them do not have any interest in learning new technology. Most of them live an unconscious lifestyle. Most of them do not want to better themselves. Most of them just want to sit in front of the couch and watch TV. Eventually doing something on the weekends. That's basically it. And then they want to give their input where it doesn't belong, where no one asked for it. Because then they are confronted with reality. They see other people succeeding solving problems efficiently and better than such people. And they hate that. They realize their own marriage is a shit show. They realize the sex life already dried out 15 years ago, pretty quickly. That's the case with average people after all. There's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 years, good sex, children are suddenly there. The hormonal change in the woman kicks in, the focus is on the children. Once the children become a little bit older, average women are not interested in going to the gym, just like the average man. It's painful. And from that point on, that mediocre lifestyle starts to kick in. The daily life, that fucking disgusting, boring daily life. There is no inventions made. There are no ideas thrown around how to prevent this unconscious nonsense. And people live like that for the rest of their lives. Unhappy, completely not satisfied sexually, frustrated, and all this negative energy builds up. It needs to at one point be spit out. And that is what sometimes happens to be the very dangerous aspects in marriages. When women start to lash out, when men start to lash out, when they are no longer honest with each other, nothing. They completely wreck everything. Because they have realized early on already, by not having thought about that topic for longer, they made a mistake. They suddenly realize, for example, their significant other will not be able to provide them an amazing sex life, will not able to provide them emotional stimulation, not able to provide and highlight unconditional love. It's just love under conditions. One more time. You do XYZ, that individual might give them attention. That's a very sad and boring thing. Very disgusting, to be honest. Once again, that's why they spit. Most people spit on marriage. They absolutely do not honor this concept of coming together for life, solving problems for life, highlighting themselves to the other one as the best choice. Because you have signed contracts, you have signed papers. Idiots in the family have seen you on that very moment, on that very event in church, promising this nonsense that most people do not keep anyway. And then that convenient lifestyle kicks in. You do not have to do anything anymore. Because it's very, very difficult to get out of these contracts. If people want to live something like that and then wonder why it doesn't work. I mean, so many marriages worldwide absolutely do not work. If you have a half a brain cell active, you do not do that. You do not walk that path that most people do. Because it greatly highlights this disastrous outcome. So you need to be different in order to achieve a different result, right? So, what would a spiritual person like myself do? What would you do, Roy, in order to prevent this unconscious nonsense? First and foremost, I would actually do my own ritual with my own significant other. Meaning it's just the two of us and no one else around. No other opinions, no input, nothing. It's just the two of us, and we do something that most people on this planet do not even think about, right? They might eventually see something like that in movies or computer games, but that's basically it. Because everyone else simply follows the public way. Marriage in public, signing contracts, that's basically it. And not actually keeping those promises intact. At one point actually giving a shit on that. Because it's simply easy to break out of marriage, to not do anything anymore, and then later on break out of that stuff. It's just, in the end, a contract signed and some bullshit promised, in front of a price no one cares about. So I've just mentioned me and my significant other, we would be standing together. We would be at a place where there's no one else around. Eventually, we might not even have any clothes on. After all, it is something that you do promise in front of God. Yeah? So you can do your own thing, to your own terms, under your own conditions, that you both agree on. It's like an energetic vow, something that you might have seen on Harry Potter, when Professor Snape was doing the unbreakable vow, the unbreakable promise. You two highlight and list things up you want to see happen, you want to see not happening. It's forbidden to even go that direction. Certain things need to be done that I, of course, will not go into detail because it's my business and not yours or anyone else's business. After you two have agreed on that and you have done certain things, a year or two shall pass, so that the input, the energy, the sticky nonsense of the surroundings will not have any impact, because you two agreed on a sacred contract, an energetic contract to all lifelong better yourself, not just for yourself, but also to your significant other, your spouse. You want to honor that individual all life long. You two visit all kinds of places on planet Earth, all kinds of locations. You have extraordinary experiences. You make extraordinary things. You spend the money on extraordinary things that most people absolutely would not even think about because it would cost too much. You give a shit about it. After all, I see myself as a king. So my significant other would be a queen, right? King and queen dictate the tone, adapt or get lost. We two decide what we want to see during that world trip, during any kind of trip. We two decide how we're going to spend our time, how long we're going to spend that time together with, and with whom we share any information. After all, as I've mentioned, and you do not want to share any positive information, whatever you have done with such people, because they will be jealous as fuck that they haven't done anything like that. They will be wishing ill intent. They might be even hoping that certain trips that you plan cannot happen because of weather conditions, because of any stupid conditions that might happen on the planet. Faking on the phone. Oh, I'm so sorry that this couldn't happen, but deep down they are very, very happy. Because how dare you two not spend the money on the family? How dare you not invite everyone of those two families, How dare you even think that you deserve something better than the rest of them? After all, you two are exceptional people. You two are different people. So it's just logical that you come with different solutions and ideas than the rest. And they didn't think of stuff like that because they're average. Average people are average for a reason. Exceptional people, successful people are successful for a reason. It's just logical. Now, you have done the ritual. 2 years, 3 years have passed. And we all know how women actually truly are. She eventually she still wants to be seen in that white, beautiful dress. She wants to have that horses, that birds, those flowers, people around her, all kinds of stuff. She still wants that. After you have done your own ritual, after you have been together for 10 plus years, you have overcome immense nonsense, immense pressure. You have solved problems. You have broken up. You have come together. Broken up, come together. In that time apart, you have worked on yourself, both sides. You have risen in frequency. You have alchemized the problems. You have finally realized your true value and the potential that you have. and that you do not allow anyone to talk you into doing certain things you don't want to do. So you know your standards. You are your own master, your own leader, regardless if you're a man or woman. So, yeah, I'm my own master, I am my own leader, she is her own master, she is her own leader. That's someone that I want to have, for example, a family with at one point. It's her ideas and mine that will dictate our life, that will dictate how children will be raised, and not the ideas and stupid opinions of parents on both sides, uncles and aunts of both sides, grandmas and grandmas of both sides, and potential loser quality friends of both sides. Yeah? One more time, adapt to our standards or get lost. Unfortunately, most people do not think like that. Most people want to fall in line because they want to avoid confrontation. Confrontation is painful. Confrontation might be risky. Confrontation might put attention on that subject in public, for example. People, after all, don't want to do that, huh? Because they feel nervous. They are insecure. They don't know what to do. They didn't expect a situation to maybe suddenly explode because certain idiots around them, be it family or friends, might not agree on certain subjects, might have personality disorders, therefore not able to control themselves, even in public. You need to get rid of such people. You need to get rid of the ideas such moronic morons present on a day-to-day basis, not just to themselves, but their surroundings. There's a reason why they are miserable on the inside. There's a reason why they are miserable on the outside. There's a reason why their life is a shit show. There's a reason why they're unsuccessful in life. There's a reason why their sex life dried out pretty quickly. I don't want to have anything to do with something like that. I don't want to live such a lifestyle at all. Like, what the fuck? Why am I even coming into first place into union with a woman? I want to have someone for life backing me up. I want to have someone for life that I can talk to on a level I'm not able to do with anyone else. I want to be with a woman that fully understands me. We just watch each other's eyes and we fully know everything. What the other one is thinking, what their worries might be. We feel each other. We sense each other, regardless the distance, regardless the time apart. Something like that, something holy, sacred, exceptional like that, can only be done through someone who might be your potential counterpart, and not an average person that slows you down in life, that at one point bores you to death, that will not be able to even come to the idea to better herself. In my case, I'm a man, so a woman who wouldn't even think about the idea of all life long going to the gym, all life long highlighting her sexy body to me, all life long working on strength and endurance, all life long meditating or getting into this concept of meditation, breath exercise, yoga, tai chi, not understanding spirituality or even laughing about stuff like that. I don't want to have anything to do with a boring bitch like that. And I have to be very harsh on this subject because someone like that would completely wreck my life. Especially imagine you are married with someone like that. You don't know if they just want your money. You don't know if they just want to have any resources that you have gathered throughout time. Example, gold digger. You don't know that. Spiritual people can sense that. Most men are not spiritual. Most women are not spiritual. So they cannot sense that and fall into these traps. Counterparts. Very well, actually, to be honest. One is more awakened than the other. The other one can actually be deep asleep, fully believing the nonsense on TV. Absolutely believing everything. There's a reason why the more awakened one at one point met the other. And if you have a question like that, sensing someone, you feel them all the time, and you don't know why, because they're your counterpart. This is not possible with average people. Not everyone has a counterpart. There's a reason why there's this number of the 144,000. These are people who, all life long, once they have awakened, will put in the conscious effort to better themselves. It doesn't matter. All life long, they will be doing that. You cannot do that. Someone who isn't like that cannot do that, even though you are the light and you are encouraging other people. These other people at one point will stop bettering their lives. They might improve their life 10%, but then stop. You have improved their life. You have shown them something. Their life got better. Yeah, truly, honestly. But they do not have the determination, the mindset to continue and continue and continue through hardship, obstacles, and problems, like counterparts would do. They, after all, have to face extraordinary nonsense. They, after all, have met under bizarre circumstances. It's not across the corner, across the street. It can blow people's minds off. Usually, it is different countries, different continents. So very well, there might be reasons, as I've just mentioned, different countries, different continents, that you need to have that physical aspect of marriage in the terms of signing contracts, which basically would translate to you two are not married by official government standards, therefore you cannot reside at that one place and need to separate again to basically say, look, we are here in that original country where we originated from, now going back, needing whatever papers actually necessary. So therefore, when it comes to long distance relationships, marriage then makes sense. When it comes to real estate, marriage then makes sense. Of course, you will have to do certain papers that both have to sign in order to secure their own money, to secure their own resources, whatever the case it is. Both genders would have to do that. Just like when it comes to marriage, you two should have your own bank accounts and one just for spending. And that spending includes everything for the house, everything you want to do in your free activities, and especially trips, vacation, time together. So that you avoid the immense nonsense and arguments people have when it comes to spending money together. You need to be intelligent enough to even grasp that concept in the first place, to even create several bank accounts to make sure that your finances are all lifelong in check. So that you avoid disastrous outcomes, money-wise, emotionally-wise, relationship-wise. Most people don't do such things. Most people easily fall into these traps. And most people wonder later on why the marriage didn't work. Because they were not intelligent enough to even grasp the concept of having different bank accounts, of having systems in place, not just when it comes to money, but also how to solve problems together. And most fail in life anyway, so it's not a surprise it doesn't work. Clowns absolutely do not understand the magnitude of their actions. After all, they are promising in front of people, in front of a priest, in front of their significant other that they want to honor all life long. I'm sure you get the idea, the joke in all of that. They promise in front of God to be all the time there for their significant other, to provide for the significant other, to cherish each moment, to solve for all the problems that might occur in the future. And they basically shit on this idea because they're too dumb to understand how to solve problems on a physical and spiritual sense. because they don't understand these concepts in the first place. So how can you have that successful marriage? It's an impossibility. It's like for idiots. And most of the people on this planet are mere idiots. They're shitting on this sacred union. They absolutely do not care about the consequences. They are clowns, and clowns greatly portray themselves on a day-to-day basis that you can see on the internet as well. What they are doing if a marriage falls apart, if they find their significant other doing XYZ. Just look the internet, what these losers and fools are doing. Where is the promise to God? Where is the promise to their significant other? It's gone. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Because these are losers. Losers absolutely do not have any honor. Therefore, by not having honor, you cannot be ashamed of your own actions. A blind one cannot see. So that is also something you need to keep in mind. And promises in today's world, they mean nothing. It's convenience. It sounds nice in the beginning. In that very moment, everyone is cheering, everyone is happy, the families unite, the secret enemies, the hidden enemies, already ill intent, present. In that very moment, you should never have that sacred union with your significant other in the first place, with other people around, expectations and whatnot, expectations of losers. You two need to be together alone. Alone you need to do a lot of things. Alone you need to promise a lot of things. Alone you need to find concepts and ideas that you promise on an energetic part. Not just the physical paper bullshit. And then reading on paper like a complete, confused, insecure fool certain nonsense that you promised to your significant other. This is your most important day, basically. And you need to read on a paper to tell what your heart is actually voicing itself to you. You need to read it from a paper. Speak up. Without that paper, watch your significant other into their eyes and let just your heart voice itself. Forget these clowns and losers around who are sitting and what are they gonna say? What are they gonna do? I wanna listen to that speech, that magnificent speech. Because these fools were reading from papers. These fools didn't know what to do. Just remember back in school. School time. How many of them were confidently able to speak in front of an audience? 0. So it's expected to be at a marriage 0. Because it fully isn't from the heart. It's an act out of emotion. Right now everything feels alright. Right now we can do that. Right now the weather conditions are great. Right now, family, everything is alright. Right now. No major problems before, no major obstacles to overcome. Nothing. Because the sex is still good. The emotions are wonderful. Everything is still falling into place, convenient. The moment the sex dries out, the moment the problems become bigger and bigger, the moment people do not overcome their own problems, the moment that people stop working on themselves, that's when the major bullshit happens. That's when the major bullshit manifests into reality on a day-to-day basis. In year 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why you should never marry in a time frame within 10 years. You need to know with whom you're dealing with, who all life long has my back, who is able to help me overcome certain problems, who is able to protect me as well. The man also needs protection, emotional, spiritual protection, so that she can help the guy or myself to quickly come up again, instead of me doing it all by myself, which of course would take great amount of effort and a lot of time. Because life, after all, is brutal, harsh, and direct, just like the truth. I want to spend time with a woman. I want to talk with a woman. I just want to watch a woman. I want to watch my woman. The way she is, for what she is, nothing else. She's just there for me and I'm there for her. We two come together in order to achieve something that alone is actually impossible to achieve. We two make things happen quick. We two make things happen elegantly. We two make things happen on a level, on a day-to-day basis that most people, because they're unconscious, will never be able to do. A woman that is conscious, a woman that is working on herself, a woman that has all the qualities that makes a woman a woman. She is feminine, she is cooperative, she is sexy, all life long. She knows and can already anticipate what you need, what your worries might be, so that you two, for example, can just watch each other into the eyes. And she already knows you. She knows your worries. She knows what you need. Not a single word has been spoken. This is only possible with a woman you have a connection with on a spiritual sense. A woman that you all life long, regardless the distance, regardless the time, for example, spent apart, you still feel her. You feel her emotions. Eventually you hear her own thoughts in your mind. That is something, there we come to the divine counterpart stuff. Average people wouldn't understand that. What is he just talking? Hearing her thoughts, stuff like that. It's already too much. This is already too much. They are average for a reason, so to decide with those people. You want to have someone that portrays the ideas and emotions and qualities of a queen. Who has risen in frequency, who has risen to activate her potential, to be able to fulfill her potential all life long. She can be on her own, but she also relies on me. I can be on my own, but I also rely on her. Those are very key aspects. There needs to be distance also in marriage. There also needs to be distance in a relationship in order to come back together, to unite again in passion, lust, and love. And that is something that most people do not understand. Most people become roommates after all. Just a few years have passed and everything is boring. And we are talking here about exceptional people coming together, having an exceptional lifestyle and a harmonious, interesting, adventurous lifestyle for life. With the key factor of sex, amazing, all life long. Most people do not have that. What do you expect from most people when they're average, when they're wanting to have that convenient life? Where you do not have to put any effort in, nothing, because effort is painful, effort takes time, and effort symbolizes change. Life is a constant change. People don't want this constant change because it's painful. You have to all the time do something. You have to all the time do something. They don't want to do it because it's painful. It's painful to look inside. And realize you have taken eventually a big L. All these adults who at one point become parents, a big fucking L. They don't know shit. They are shit. And they greatly highlight all life long that they are shit. Envying all those who are not shit. All those who all life long try to improve their daily habits, their thought patterns, what they can do better in order to achieve certain goals faster, that they can maneuver through obstacles, problems, in a way that doesn't, for example, require too much energy, so they have more energy to do other things. So someone like that, a woman like that, could clean the kitchen, could clean the living room, whatnot, still would have enough energy to work out, still would have enough energy of actually also wanting to have sex. There's no excuse for not wanting to do that. Why the fuck do you come in the first place together? For most women, average women, it's that convenient lifestyle. The security, the stability of money. Putting her claws basically inside the guy through marriage, trapping that guy, and then children, trapping him even more. Therefore, she doesn't have to do much anymore. She doesn't have to work out anymore. She doesn't have to portray a sexy body all life long for a clown like that. Nothing. You would need to do your own ritual one more time. Your own ritual that you two agree on, that you two promise to keep all life long, because it is an energetic vow. And the consequences that might occur if one of the two dare to break out of this stuff with ill intent. That is something to absolutely keep in mind. To which only exceptional, extraordinary people on this earth are even able to think about. Average people will never invest $10,000, 10,000 euro in camera equipment, spotlights, microphones, a decoration, an ambience that they create together in order, for example, to spice up their sex life and record themselves. You do not have to upload it, but you have something. They would not even come to this conclusion. It's a reason why they are average. And when they hear someone speak something like that, right now I'm doing it, they immediately, because many of them have a loser mindset, will justify and find excuses why that cannot be done. They don't have the money. Discussion closed. There is not even an idea popping up on how to get to that money, on how to spice up the sex life, on how to spice up communication, solving communication problems. Zero. And then jealous, envy, and hatred kick in, that other people do that other people have such spicy tapes of themselves. Once again, it doesn't have to be uploaded, but they have something. There's a reason why people who are 15 plus years together still have an active sex life, still are looking extraordinary, they are looking beautifully, body-wise, and that portrays to the outside also personality-wise, spiritual-wise. Yeah. After all, you feel their aura, their auric field. They're clashing all the time. That I've described already once. Why you can enter a room and the energy immediately shifts. Immediately people realize that you're confident. They smile back. You smile back. While other freaks, not a single word has been spoken. They already hate you. Already despise you greatly. Because, one more time, the energies have been colliding from the get-go. Second one, you enter that room, already a collision. In that one single second, everything was spoken. That is also something you need to keep in mind when it comes to rising in frequency. The simple idea, or not just call it an idea, the thought of you not tolerating bullshit anymore, not tolerating how people treat you, speak to you, that you do not allow to be deceived and manipulated by bastards all around you, and acting on it, that single second you consciously make that decision and act on it, makes it possible for you to rise in frequency drastically. That's why, for example, when people who are heavy smokers for 25 plus years, they have tried everything, yeah? They even managed from time to time to stop smoking, but they always return to it. One day, though, by doing small changes that absolutely might not have anything to do with smoking, going out for a walk for 30 minutes almost every day, thinking just a little bit differently about themselves, about the world, making conscious decisions to respond to external stimuli differently, over time, they reach that threshold. And once that threshold gets broken, suddenly the heavy smoker, 25 plus years, will never again smoke a single fucking cigarette. It's the same with not accepting bullshit anymore. The moment you truly, honestly realize that, what you will tolerate and what you will no longer tolerate, rises your frequency up. Because it manifests in the outside. You suddenly speak for yourself. You suddenly voice yourself. You are able to defend yourself, your own stance, what you believe in against anyone and anything. You give a shit. Because you have finally realized who you are. You have finally realized your own values. You have finally stepped into the unknown, the potential in you that all these idiots around you might have already seen a long time ago. And you finally speaking up. You finally shaking things up and making everyone else around you uncomfortable. When it comes to marriage, you highlighting greatly through your own actions, your own thinking, who you are, why you have that wonderful relationship, marriage. All around, they do not. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason why they will hate on you. So it's very important that two people come together who are awake, who put in the conscious act all life long to better themselves. By reaching the better version of yourself, you have a higher understanding not just of yourself, but also of your surroundings. You gain knowledge that transcends this planet, that transcends this realm even. Because you all the time focus on yourself, you focus on your daily habits, you focus on your thought patterns, you focus by improving every aspect of your own life and being your own master, your own leader, regardless man or woman, you make it possible to gift to the other one, your significant other, your spouse that you want to spend the rest of your life with, the chance of having that successful, adventurous union that most people will never be able to provide and experience. Have the courage to be yourself.